Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin. That's guest co-host, artistic director, and writer Gib Wallace. And we're talking with actor Todd Sherry. If you have any questions for Todd, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225. Thanks for joining us, Todd.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Welcome.
Todd is incredibly experienced actor in television,
Incredibly.
in film. Yeah, he's done a lot. He's
Is that incredible? I believe it.
pretty much everything from working a scene or two with Adam Sandler.
Yes.
You know, and
Good times.
Absolutely. You're on Suburgatory right now, though, right?
I recur on that show. I play Tom, the father of the twins, Kenzie and Caitlin, who are 2/3 of the KKK, along with their friend Kimantha.
All right.
And they call those three girls the KKK. I am the father of the twins on the show, but I'm constantly seen with the character of Alex. My character is Tom. Tom and Alex are constantly seen together and thought to be a gay couple until Jeremy Sisto realizes they are married and straight, and they'd love to know where the gay people are.
So you fool them.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
the thing is, they're actually not gay, but they act so gay, and they're always together that everyone thinks they're a couple, but they're not.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Very cool. So is that probably, would you say that's one of your favorite shows that you've worked on? I mean, you've done a lot of TV work, everything from How I Met Your Mother to The OC, which I loved you in.
And that was one of your favorites, wasn't it, Brett? The OC.
It was, and
Yes.
I'm man enough to admit it, Todd.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interesting little tidbit about that. If you remember the
Sure.
series finale of the entire thing, which sort of centered around me and my character of my husband, who owned a house that was the house where they raised, where Peter Gallagher and his wife on the show had raised their kid. And then eventually every character ends up coming back to that house. And Peter Gallagher's wife on the show has the baby in our house, and everything just keeps happening. And we finally sell the house back to them because, you know,
You're nice guys.
they've
You
had
can't
all
handle
this
a baby
happen.
house.
They had a baby in the house. They had a wedding in the house. They had all this stuff in our house. And but that part was written for me by Josh Schwartz, who created the show, and asked me to do it and do this finale character. And the very same dates, I also booked a guest star on 2.5 Men, and couldn't do it because this was a location thing, and we had the location for certain days, and I had to turn down 2.5 Men. But I was very happy to do the finale of that show after being on it for several seasons.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about it being written specifically for you.
Really? What would you like to know about that?
Well, first, how did it feel, and when did you know that it was created for you?
This is what was interesting was the original version of the final script, and I don't know if people know this nowadays, but TV networks seem to want to keep everything terribly secret now, and so they print things on red paper so it can't be copied. They slash people's names across them so that if it is copied, that person is responsible. It's just kind of crazy. It's like state secrets now, television scripts. But I had known that because I had been on the show, I knew that the final script, I had read the final script, and it had nothing to do with the story that it ended up being. Then they completely trashed that and wrote this whole new story revolving around my character and this other character who, you know, were a gay married couple who owned this house, and all of the series regulars coming to them and ending up at that house for this finale. And Josh Schwartz called and asked if I would do it. And no, Josh, I wouldn't like to do that. I loved it. It was crazy fun.
So with it being something that was created for you, like with you in mind, so you're cast already, and then they rewrote it for you, or they just wrote it for you. Did you feel like it stretched you as an actor, or do you feel like it just kind of hit all of your money notes, like it was just...
It was hit my money. Yeah, it hit my money notes. It was Josh knew me by then, and he really created a fun character for me to be reacting to everything. There's one great scene where I walked in on the characters of Ryan and Autumn Reeser played her. I can't remember her name right now. But they ended up ripping each other's clothes off and having sex in one of the bedrooms, and I walk in on it and just walk in, look at them. and then say, "What is with you people?" and walk out. Because now we've had a baby, we're having a wedding.
All
now these
cycles.
two are having sex in my bedroom, and
So pretty much all the
Crazy.
breeding cycle, like from conception, gestation to birth.
it was everything.
Wow.
And they allowed all this on television.
They did.
Unbelievable.
Well, it was Fox.
Women always keep
Oh.
their bras on when they're in bed. That's what I've learned from TV.
Oh, okay, that's the secret. I knew there was a secret
Mhm.
something around there.
So how did you
There are
become
secrets.
like a muse for this? Not just amusing, but become the muse for the episode. Was it through? Did you talk with the writers and the producers a lot, or did they just see your work after you were initially cast?
No, I had been in the pilot of the OC in a small role that Josh Schwartz had cast me in, and then I was in 4 episodes along the years, sometimes playing different characters, but he kept having me back. And that's the thing about Josh Schwartz. He's done that with many actors on shows where he loves the actor, he loves working with them, he loves what they do. And then either in another show of his or at another time on that show, he'll write something for them because he really adores them. If you know Scott Krinsky, who was on Chuck, played one of the guys that worked at the Buy More. He was a one-line homeless guy in the Thanksgiving episode of the OC in the final season. And he had him back a few times as this homeless guy, just saying a line now and then. But he loved him, and he moved mountains to get him on Chuck.
Wow.
And he eventually became a series regular on Chuck.
That's great.
Yeah.
So does that put a lot of pressure on you when you go in for your first time on set with a new writer-producer where you think this could be the beginning of something? Is it like, oh my God, I might get married to this person artistically, I might be working with them for years, or you just kind of show up and be your normal self?
Yeah, you can't think about that. You have to show up and do your work. That's the reason that you get asked back, that you do your work well and that you're someone who's fun to have around and work with. You have to realize these people on a TV show work there for, 14 hours a day sometimes. That's their home, and they're inviting you into it. So be somebody that gets invited into their house and not thrown out of it,
So you get you were in the pilot of the OC, so you get that pilot script and you read it. Did you ever imagine that it would get to the level that it got to? I mean, it got
No.
hugely popular.
No, it got hugely popular right away. And in fact, that season, the network had ordered, I think, 4 or 5 extra episodes. They picked it up for a whole season, but then they ordered, I think it ended up being 26 or something instead of 22 episodes the first season because it was so crazy popular.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So how did you get involved in acting? Was this something you always wanted to do since you were a little kid, or did you just kind of fall into it?
I started singing at 6. I grew up in Pennsylvania, started singing in the choir and stuff like that. And then by 9th grade, I was in the musical. And, then I was in drama and music all through high school. And by the end of high school, I just knew that's what I was going to do. I went to college for acting, moved to New York, did New York for a while, and came here.
You're one of the lucky ones that seemed to know right away.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Guys, we're talking with actor Todd Sherry. If you have any questions for Todd, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. And you've actually got a show coming up at Hollywood Studio Bar and Grill, Todd, Twisted Misters and Sisters.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that we talk about that and tell us a little bit about that, because that sounds like a really interesting concept.
Well, let's talk about it.
Good stuff. We'll be back on La La Land today with guest co-host Gib Wallace.
Hi.
Right here on CRN Digital Talk.